Court orders Senate to recall Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Plateau State Crisis Fact-Finding Team optimistic of lasting peace. And experts harp on food safety and hygiene to combat typhoid fever. Hello and welcome to the news desk at 6 on NTN News 24, reaching you live from Abuja. I am Chinenye Nwoye. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has ordered the Nigerian Senate to recall the lawmaker representing Kogi Central Senatorial District, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, who was suspended for 6 months. The trial judge, Justice Binta Nyako, gave the order in a verdict in a suit filed by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan against the Senate and its leadership. Dele Atumbi of our Judiciary Desk reports.
The parties in this matter are Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan as plaintiff, the Senate, Clerk of the National Assembly, President of the Senate, and Chairman Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions are respondents. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan challenged a suspension by the Senate for 6 months, which was done on March 6, 2025. Ruling on the preliminary issues raised by both parties, Justice Binta Nyako found Senator Natasha culpable of contempt of court following a satirical apology she posted on her Facebook page. The court fined the lawmaker 5 million naira for contempt, which is to be paid into the treasury of the court. Additionally, she is ordered to publish a formal apology on her Facebook page and in 2 national dailies, all within 7 days of this ruling. On the substantive matter, which is the suspension of Senator Natasha by the Senate, Justice Binta Nyako described the suspension as excessive. The court maintained that the punishment meted out by the Senate was unjustifiable and disproportionate. The court faulted Section 8 of the Senate Standing Rules and Section 14 of the Legislative House's Powers and Privileges Act, declaring both provisions as overreaching. The court held that while the Senate reserves the right to discipline its members, any sanction must be proportionate and must not infringe upon the constitutional rights of the lawmakers' constituents to be represented. The court ruled that the Senate President Godswill Akpabio was not at fault for refusing to allow Senator Natasha to speak during plenary, given that she was not seated at her officially designated seat. Justice Nyako also dismissed the argument by the respondents that the court lacked jurisdiction to hear the matter on the grounds that it concerned an internal affairs of the Senate.
That the Senate should consider recalling her back, although the reliefs are not stated. There's no question asking for suspension to be lifted because it occurred prior to the suspension. So it was more or less an obiter.
With this verdict, the trial court has now become functions officials. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
Healthcare professionals say that increasing awareness on food safety protocols is critical to national efforts towards reducing the burden of typhoid fever and transitioning Nigeria from an endemic country to one with better disease control. The healthcare experts shared the insights on NTS program Good Morning Nigeria, where they discussed the topic, diagnosis and treatment of typhoid fever. Olusheye Adeabo reports.
The challenge about typhoid fever.
Dr. Kasmel Ifeanyi, National President, Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria, explained the causes of typhoid fever, emphasizing environmental factors that contribute to its continued endemicity in the country.
As you go further from the Lungu into the crannies of the slum and other places, even on that tree, you can find somebody holding himself out to the public that he is able to perform testing, particularly for typhoid. And so we have to also speak to the issue of the meddlesomeness, the intrusion of quacks and charlatans. So the issue continues. If we even go further, the diagnosis of typhoid is very costly.
The healthcare professionals stressed that targeted educational campaigns could help close knowledge gaps, promote vaccination, and encourage preventive behaviors among the public.
That the high incidence of typhoid that we have is because of our behavior. First, let's start with ourselves. Our hygiene practices are very poor. Most people don't wash their hands. I think the public should take responsibility for this.
I just want to say malaria can also mimic typhoid. So the only way we can do is to carry out appropriate diagnosis. Then secondly, the way we interpret weather tests in this country, I think medical personnel, they need to look into it. There are systematic approach. Not one-off weather test is a confirmation that an individual has typhoid.
The experts agreed that Nigeria lacks efficient diagnostic testing for typhoid fever and called for the inclusion of the typhoid vaccine in the country's routine immunization program, particularly to protect children and reduce the disease burden. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Speedy implementation of the national policy on marine and blue economy is a catalyst Nigeria needs to unlock the potential of the maritime ecosystem to be in a vintage position among the Committee of Nations. Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adeboyega Oyetola, at a one-day stakeholders engagement with industry players, say with the legislative framework now ready, it is time to take action. Joel Bokbola reports.
Forging a united action is the thrust of this enlarged gathering of stakeholders with the theme strengthening collaboration for effective implementation of national policy on marine and blue economy. The Minister Adeboyega Oyetola described the Federal Executive Council's approval of the national policy on marine and blue economy designed to revamp the maritime ecosystem as a workable template capable of fast-tracking attainment of the ministry's agenda.
Nigeria is championing the operationalization of the Regional Maritime Development Bank under the Maritime Organization of West and Central Africa, MOCA, with its headquarters here in Abuja. The bank is poised to provide long-term financing for maritime infrastructure and supporting cross-border trade.
Zero piracy and a 75% performance score in 2024 as evaluated by the Central Results Delivery Coordination Unit under the Office of the Special Advisor to the President on Policy and Coordination are among salient achievements of the last 2 years.
We are focused on modernizing our port infrastructure. The federal government has approved the contracts for the reconstruction of the Apapa and Tinkan ports. Procurement is ongoing for the Eastern Port.
Earlier, the Permanent Secretary Olufemi Oloruntola, who identified the input of industry players and joined them to play active parts in its implementation.
Success will depend on how well we coordinate, collaborate, and communicate across all levels of governance and operations.
Other discussions by experts centered on fostering institutional synergy and driving inclusive development across sub-sectors. With impressive performances by various departments and agencies under the ministry, experts are optimistic that the industry will gain traction. In Lagos, Joel Bokbola, NTA News.
The Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria has confirmed the sale of the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company. This follows months of speculation over its status. Thomas Owetere reports.
The sale of the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company was announced by the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of AMCON, Benga Alade. During a press briefing, Alade disclosed that the transaction, valued at 100 billion naira, was nearly double the initial offer, following renegotiations to secure better terms.
Since this new management and AMCON resumed, we have not sold any asset until 2 weeks ago when the board met and they removed the hold on asset sale. Now that it has been removed, I think we've sold about 2 or 3 properties, high value properties.
The AMCON MD reiterated the corporation's commitment to recovering all outstanding debts and assets both within and outside Nigeria. He praised the support of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and other key institutions in driving the corporation's recovery mandates.
Some of these debtors don't keep the assets here in Nigeria. They took most of the proceeds and took it abroad to buy houses abroad and all that. So we are intensifying our asset tracing beyond the shores of Nigeria internationally. We have actually hired some international asset tracing, and they're working.
Alade disclosed that as reforms continue across Nigeria's electricity sector, AMCON remains committed to upholding transparency and accountability at all levels. In Abuja, Thomas Ogbetere, NTA News.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu felicitates with Oba Akinloye Owolabi Olakulehin on his 90th birthday on July 5th and the first anniversary of his coronation as the 43rd Olubadan of Ibadan land on July 12th. In a statement, President Tinubu says at 90, the royal father embodies the rare blend of age-old wisdom, service, and enduring leadership through decades of selfless dedication to nation building and community development. He joins the people of Ibadan land, the traditional institution, and all well-wishers across Nigeria and beyond in celebrating the remarkable life and legacy of a monarch whose reign has been characterized by wisdom, peace, and unwavering commitment to his people's progress. President Tinubu describes Oba Olakulehin as a foremost traditional ruler, custodian of culture and tradition, and a revered elder statesman who has devoted his life to serving humanity and preserving Yoruba tradition, identity, and values. This is the news desk at 6 on NTA News 24. We'll take a break here. There'll be more reports when we return. Do stay.
The Baffy Furniture Shopping Festival is here. From June 15th to August 15th, enjoy 20%, 30%, up to 50% off on most products. Explore 2025 exclusive collections at discounted prices, plus wedding packages with a free TV stand gift. Plus, free delivery and installation in Abuja, Lagos, Kano, and Enugu. Customize your favorite sets in your preferred color and fabric, from kid-friendly options to our luxurious smart beds. Don't miss out. Shop now at Baffy Furniture.
Many thanks for staying on. Network of National Human Rights Institutions of the West Africa has resolved to work in harmony with relevant agencies in promotion and protection of human rights institutions across the West African region. The group made this known at the end of a 3-day engagement on human rights as it affects the West African region. Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi SAN, at the engagement reiterated that the federal government is committed to the cause of promotion and protection of human rights of Nigerians.
I thank you for the honor of addressing this distinguished gathering. I offer my continued support and that of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as we work together to advance justice for Africa and people of African descent across the globe.
Let us work together to amplify the voices of those who have been marginalized and silenced. Let us strive to create a more just and equitable society where the rights of all individuals are respected and protected.
Nigeria is committed to promoting, protecting, and enforcing human rights, and we are honored to have you present in Abuja throughout this event. We look forward to engaging with you and sharing experiences and learning from your perspectives.
Most of us who are even A status now don't sit on your laurels. You need to be up and doing, and even doing more, so that when the time comes, you don't have any difficulty.
The Network of Human Rights Institutions of the West Africa elected the Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission, Tony Ojukwu, as its new president. The Fact-Finding Committee on Plateau Crisis says it is optimistic that its continued engagements with stakeholders and affected communities across Plateau State will provide the state government with workable solutions to end the incessant violence and restore lasting peace in the state. This was during the committee's visit to Jos South and Barikin Ladi local government areas of Plateau State. Ijoma Ozemena reports.
The 10-member committee assigned by the Plateau State government is saddled with the responsibility of knowing the root causes of the lingering attacks in the state from 2001 to date. It is in this light that the committee has been visiting affected local government areas and communities. As part of its continued engagement with security agencies, traditional leaders, youth groups, and stakeholders, where it discussed the persistent security challenges facing the communities, including attacks, displacement, destruction of farmlands, and property, among others.
Appeal to the government, if you can help us to bring maybe a security outpost around this place, so that we people will be safe.
We here, we want peace.
Write what they have seen, and they will also profile solutions in their recommendations to the governor.
The committee chairman, Major General Nicholas Rogers, notes that peace building requires collaboration among all parties, government, security agencies, traditional rulers, and community members.
We've spoken and we'll have a very useful discussion, and we'll assure you that we'll build on it.
The committee visited Gero and Dogo Nahawa communities in Jos South local government area, as well as Mahanga, Rope, and Gashish communities in Barikin Ladi, where it interacted with affected residents and assessed the extent of destruction in Jos. Ijoma Ozemena, NTA News.
This is the news desk at 6 on NTA News 24. Let's take another look at our major stories. Court orders Senate to recall Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduaghan. Plateau State Crisis Fact-Finding Team optimistic of lasting peace. And experts harp on food safety and hygiene to combat typhoid fever. It's glad to know you're still there. The prelate of the Methodist Church Nigeria, Oliver Abba, is urging Christians to take prayer seriously and contribute to nation building towards adding value to humanity. Oliver Abba and the Archbishop of Abuja, Most Reverend Michael Akinwole, were guests on NTA's program, Good Morning Nigeria, to discuss the ongoing 42nd Council of Bishops of the Methodist Church taking place in Abuja. The clergymen explained the significance of the Council of Bishops meeting and the rationale behind this year's theme, He Would Rise Again.
My Lord, if you would have been here, what happened to us wouldn't have happened. And that means Jesus has value in their lives. And so every believer, every Nigerian, who knows that he or she is being created by God, should see God as instrument of success in his or her life. Somebody that can bring about hope.
It's an annual program that all our bishops comes together, where we discuss both issues that affect the nation and issues that affect the church. We also look at issues that has to do with the spirituality of our members. We have 129 bishops, and even outside the shores of this country.
Church, which was the first Christian denomination established in Nigeria in 1842, recently marked 180 3 years of existence in the country, church leaders emphasized that nation building should not be left solely to the government and expressed confidence in the current administration's capacity to restore hope in the country.
That the leader, our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is someone that knows much about this country. And our hope has been that he has to fix it. He has to fix it properly. And I strongly believe that this fight is not one man's fight. It's a combined attack that has to be between the leaders and the subjects.
Offered prayers for lasting peace and sustainable growth in Nigeria, asking God to guide the nation and bring positive change to the lives of its citizens. President Bola Tinubu has departed St. Lucia, proceeding to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, for the 2025 BRICS Summit. President departed the Caribbean country after about a week state visit. Prime Minister Philip Pierre saw off the Nigerian leader at the Lucian International Airport, Hewan-Roa. During the historic state visit, President Tinubu had separate meetings with the Lucian leaders, Governor General Cyril Errol Charles and Prime Minister Philip Pierre. He was at Sandals Grande where he addressed a special joint session of Senate and House of Assembly. He highlighted the importance of cooperation with St. Lucia and member nations of the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States. In Rio de Janeiro, President Tinubu is one of the 4 African leaders attending the 17th BRICS Summit. Leaders from Egypt, Ethiopia, and South Africa are also expected at the summit. At this year's summit, BRICS leaders from countries identified as the world's fast-growing economies converge on Rio de Janeiro, promising to strengthen trade and technology exchange within the bloc against the background of U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff threats. And that concludes the news desk at 6 on NTN News 24. Many thanks for watching. I am Chinenye Ngoyi.